Hi, Bella. It's so awesome to have you on my podcast today. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I would love for you to talk to my audience, which is midlife women who are struggling with unexplained symptoms, weight gain, and they are dismissed by their doctors. They're told, hey, your lab work looks fine. We'll see you next year. So I would love for you to speak to them and tell us who you are, what you do, and how you found carnivore.
Thank you for having me, Christina. It's an honor. So, I am not a midlife woman, so I don't know if I'm qualified to give advice for your amazing audience, but I will share that the issues that I see a lot of women struggle with, no matter what age they are, and myself included, include weight fluctuations. I would say that's like one of the biggest issues that we always complain about. And what I learned is we're not supposed to be moving more and eating less. And I feel like every single woman has been told that at some point in their lives. I practiced it for all my teenage years and growing up in my early 20s, trying to be a pianist, trying to fit in those concert dresses. And I thought that I was trying everything and doing everything right. But what ended up happening was I lost my period, my skin issues got worse, my energy went down the drain, and I just felt like complete crap, you know? And because of a high fat carnivore diet, all of those issues went away. And I feel like I can just live my life as a woman, as a wife, as a sister, a daughter, a friend. I feel like I can just be the best woman that I can be in this life that I have thanks to a high fat carnivore diet. So I would be happy to talk all things high fat carnivore. And you're very familiar with Dr. Bright's work. You were in her group for a couple months there. So I feel like that's what I can share the most about is how to do high fat carnivore, why I believe in it.
So good. That's so true. I love your story, and there's so many aspects of it that I would love to touch on. But what is your background? What did you do before you found carnivore and you were actually carrying on with? Yeah.
I was a classical pianist and as well as a classical violinist. I was studying both at the same time, just as aggressively. It was literally my whole life. And I thought I would just be either a performing artist, so just performing concerts, or a teacher, so teaching piano and violin. And that's what I also went to school for. So I studied at the Juilliard School as well as Mannes, the new school, both in New York City. And I loved my life in New York City as a student. It was a very fast paced life. It was a very stressful life, but I just loved it. And I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of amazing friends. I met my husband at Juilliard. So it was great. And because of the pandemic, that is the reason why everything shifted. Live concerts stopped. Nobody was leaving their house. And I decided to shift my attention to sharing my healing journey online because it was already so amazing and I was so impressed and I was feeling better. So I couldn't not talk about it online. And so I went on Instagram first. This is in 2020 ish. And then shortly after, I started my channel.
Yeah. And I love the way that you have shared everything and figured it all out because your content is amazing.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us where you were before you started carnivore?
Yes,
Like, what, how are you eating?
absolutely.
How are you living?
Yes. So I was a vegan for 6 years before I found the carnivore diet. And I was vegan for whole foods, high carb, low fat, not enough protein type of vegan. I did not eat any of those mock meats. I did not eat any processed foods. I just focused on fruits, vegetables, and cooked starches. For 6 years, I was hoping that it would improve my cystic acne, my eczema, and my psoriasis, and it just never happened. I even ended up losing my period.
How did you find carnivore? How did it pop up for you? And how did you even get that mindset that this was an option and that you should try it?
Yeah, so I found carnivore thanks to searching online, specifically vegan women eating meat for the first time. And so the algorithm that day decided to bless me with carnivore videos. Okay. And so I found this woman called Azra Conlu. I'm not sure if she still posts to this day, but at that time, that day, she was posting about how she used to be vegan as well. And after going fully carnivore, she healed everything. She feels amazing and she is Asian. So I felt very connected to her story. And I was like, whoa, I would like to be that. And so after watching her, I decided to dig further. And then I found Kelly Hogan. I found Kasumi Chris at the time. She was posting a lot. And so it was females who inspired me to go carnivore. I didn't really care too much for the stories about men at that time, and that makes sense. Like if you're a woman who is no period, feeling sick, you would want to hear from other women. You would want to look up to women who are living the life that you want to live.
Well, I'm so interested in the fact that you said you're Asian, which beautiful.
Mm, mm,
And so, when you talk to some people, they say, "Oh, I don't have that blood type. I can't eat meat. That's not,
yeah.
that's not what we consume. We have to eat this and this." And I'm like, "But we're all humans. So maybe carnivore could be helpful to people." But I'd love to hear your take on that.
So Asians do love their meat, but they also love their rice, right? And
Mm.
so honestly, a lot of the Asian cultures and cuisines eat rice. And if it's not rice, it's something to do with a carby, starchy food. And so in Chinese cuisine, which I am Chinese, my parents are very traditional Chinese parents. And so my mom would be cooking always dishes of vegetables cooked in seed oils every single meal. And then always with as many bowls of rice as you want, and also always a meat dish. Okay. So meat was a part of every single meal. Yes. But it was always cooked in soy sauce, in sugar, in MSG, in seed oils, all of those things. So it wasn't a clean diet at all. And it was a diet filled with carbs. So I get
Mm.
a lot of comments and messages actually from fellow Asians who are extremely intrigued by the carnivore diet that I share. And the most popular thing that they tell me in these comments and DMs is, Bella, I could never give up rice. And I get it. Rice is the foundation of our food and our fuel. And so that's why I end up creating recipes that are carby, but not actually high carb. And they're like healthy versions of everybody's favorite carb foods. And I feel like that really helps when they transition into a strict carnivore diet. It's a great crutch. But yes, you can thrive without rice if you're Asian. And yes, you can cut it out. You can do it. Once you start feeling how amazing you can feel on a carnivore diet, cutting out the rice is an obvious choice and an easy one.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, when you decided to go carnivore, what did your first week look like? And I know your story very well, but I would love for you to share because women are afraid of fat and they're afraid of red meat and they're afraid of saturated fat,
Mm.
butter, lard, all those things, salt. So I would love for you to speak that how your first week went and like how you took that dive because you really trusted your body when you first got started. And I think most women don't do that.
I am so happy that I trusted my body to the point where I trusted it fully. I gained 20 to 25 pounds total within the first few months of carnivore. I was eating more than I ever had, and I was eating like 5 pounds of meat per day plus 2 sticks of butter. I found Dr. Bright very early on in my carnivore journey. So she was literally the reason why I felt like I had permission to eat as much butter as I wanted. So she really inspired me to commit to this high fat carnivore diet. And I found high fat carnivore not because Dr. Bright told me to do it, but it was because my body was screaming for a high fat carnivore diet. And so I also hear from a lot of ex vegans when they go carnivore, the appetite opens up. They maybe even feel ravenous and they do crave for a lot of fat. It really makes sense because the hormones and the body is just malnourished. And so I was not afraid actually to eat the sticks of butter. I didn't really have any hesitation after my first meal of carnivore foods, which was scrambled eggs in butter. After I just had the first bite, I could just feel in that moment that it was the right choice because it tasted so good. My taste buds were literally telling me in that moment, this is exactly what we need more of. And so after that dish of scrambled eggs, I cooked ground beef and I felt amazing already. And the next day, I didn't feel like my skin was getting worse. I felt like my energy was already up. So I trusted the process. I listened to my body and eating more than I ever had, like it was worth it. Gaining the 20 to 25 pounds, so worth it. I got my period back within 2 to 3 months. The best, like the best result I could have asked for. And on top of that, I always like to share my skin issues were the last to heal. So that took about 6 months of high fat carnivore, committing to it, absolutely no cheat days. I never did carnivore where it was like Monday through Friday, I'll do carnivore. Saturday and Sunday, I'll eat whatever I want. That could be very problematic. And especially if you have autoimmune issues to heal, skin issues to heal, it's going to be really tough fully healing it when you do it like that.
And so when you do it like that, what does it do to the process? Because I know that you transition fuel sources in the beginning. And once you go to those weekends of eating whatever you want and then trying to go back on carnivore on Monday, what could happen to the body?
So, transitioning fuel sources, Dr. Bright likes to say you either burn carbs or glucose for energy, or you are fat adapted. You're burning fat for energy. And so, if you are doing the approach of Monday through Friday carnivore, Saturday, Sunday carbs, then your body is going to be confused. Sure, you could be metabolically flexible, but I think it's very important to be fully fat adapted and stay there for a good while before playing around with, doing carbs and then fat, carnivore, not carnivore. I personally just was never interested in going back to being sugar fueled and carb fueled because it just feels so different to me. And specifically my mental health. Mental health has always been a big struggle for me as a performer, like anxiety attacks, depression, just feeling like I'm constantly not good enough. It's just always a battle in my head. And struggling with feeling motivation even some days. For some reason, when I'm fat fueled and I'm just strict carnivore, I have zero struggles with my mental health. It's incredible. It is life changing for me not having to deal with depression every day and anxiety attacks whenever I have to go on stage. And now I don't perform concerts as a pianist, but instead I speak to groups of people. And sometimes I'm like on a stage speaking to lots of people live. And it's life changing because I don't feel nervous when I have to speak like that. I feel grateful. I feel excited and I feel happy and present. So that's just such a life changing hack for me.
It's amazing. I met Emily Penton when I was at Hack Your Health, where I met you. And she
Yes.
has been on my podcast and she talked about how her bipolar just went away and how improved her life was and how she didn't believe it was going to happen. But her psychiatrist was like, I see the light in your eyes. I've never seen that before. We need to start weaning you. But it's life changing when that happens. And I want to talk to you about when I met you at Hack Your Health and I was with you and Dr. Bright. One of the things I noticed is that you prioritize fat over protein when you needed to get food because you were in a different place, you had been traveling. And so I know that she was on the hunt for tallow and you
Yes.
love your raw, I believe it's raw butter that you had
It is
there.
raw.
So you were
That's right.
eating that. Tell me about why you eat fat and why you make sure, like, if you're traveling, that you eat the fat instead of trying to hunt down clean protein.
Yeah. Well, fat is my fuel now. And so it's a direct energy source. So, literally, what I mean is when I eat more fat, I get an energy boost. I feel it quite immediately. And so it's really amazing to just pack some butter, pack some suet snacks, whatever fat that I have on hand. It doesn't always have to be raw butter. But because Miller's Farm vendor was there, they supplied me with their amazing raw butter. But it can be any animal fat. And once you're fat adapted and you've been living this type of lifestyle for a long time, your body is just very efficient at taking the fat that you eat and turning it into energy. And I'm not looking to lose weight anymore. So I do need to eat a lot of fat and a lot of protein in general to support my daily activity, which I think is pretty high. But regardless, I just need to be eating a lot because I think my metabolism is just so efficient now and my hormones are functioning so optimally. I understand my body and my goals, so I just feed it the way that it needs to be fed. And so, anyone who's watching this, and I see this happen all the time, is like someone will tell me, um, I watch what you eat every day. I look at your meal plan videos and I try to eat just like you. Why didn't I get the same results? No way
Hmm.
are you going to get the same results as me or as Christina if you copied exactly how Christina ate because we have different bodies, our heights are different, our histories of fad dieting is different, our thyroids and our hormones are functioning differently. We have different healing journeys to walk. But I listen to my body and I always have for the past 7 years since going carnivore. It's the best decision of my life.
Great. So, for someone brand new, how do you explain carnivore in simple terms without overwhelming them? And what do you consider the non negotiable basics?
Carnivore in simple terms is to eat literally anything you want that came from an animal. I just keep it as diverse as you need. I don't believe in going lion diet right when you start a carnivore diet That is like a subset modality of carnivore. The best way to start carnivore is to take advantage of literally all the different types of foods. And yes, that does include dairy. Yes, go ahead and eat that cheese, yogurt, cream. Maybe the one exception is milk, because milk does mess up a lot of new carnivores. But take advantage of the seafood, the shrimp, the wild caught salmon, the oysters, whatever it is that you find delicious and can afford, of course, it can work for you. The essentials, like food essentials that I recommend. Yeah. Okay. So I think food essentials wise, I personally think beef is the best meat. It is high fat, it's affordable, it is easy to digest. Beef, lamb, butter, cheese, yogurt, any fermented dairy is better than the non-fermented. It's just digests easier. I like salmon. I love Braunschweiger. I just posted about it. It is this liver organ butter. It's like liver pate basically, but it's in a little roll. And they roll it up and you can eat it straight out of the wrapper. You don't have to cook it, just eat it raw, smear it on your steak, smear it on your eggs. It's so good. And you get the nutrients from the organs in there. And yeah, I've been loving that lately. Try all of my recipes if you guys are craving for cake, bread, pancakes. I've made it all and I've carnivorized it all. So there's many options.
Yeah. So when people have histamine, like I deal with histamine. So when they have histamine, what should they do? Like right now, I'm doing lion diet, but I'm almost 3 years into carnivore. So I just did lion diet last month. I ate the carnivore ice cream on the 31st. And then I was like, yeah, that was a terrible idea. And then I went right back to lion. I had a bunch of reactions to it. So I am back to actually lion diet. And I think I'm going to do it for the entire year because I've heard people talk about 1 year just has some kind of healing effect on the body. And so, how do you feel
Right.
about histamine for people? And because your recipes look amazing, and I look at them and I'm like, egg whites is in that? Yeah, no. And that's got cheese or that's got, this. And it looks amazing, but it's a little tempting. And then I'm like, no, we're just going to stay over here in Lion.
Absolutely. You are a long haul healer, I like to call. So you need to focus on healing first. And a lion diet for histamines is truly the best approach. Avoiding aged beef and lamb, though, is like a step further for histamine intolerance because I've just seen if you eat aged anything, including the ruminant meats that are part of the lion diet, it still can trigger histamine intolerant carnivores. So yeah, you just have to be strict. And it's worth it after you heal, though, because histamine intolerance does heal. It does go away. I think Coach Rebecca has a lot of options and recommendations because she was histamine intolerant for a very long time. She loves Billy Doe Meats. She likes US Wellness, Dry Lakes Ranch. All three of these farms can cater their meats to be as low histamine as you need. Just educating yourself and knowing the best sources within the carnivore community is very good. Mm, what else? Yeah, so you don't eat any eggs, Christina? Not even the
I
yolks?
ate egg yolks. I was eating egg yolks, but I just took a break. I was on decaf. I think it's called Danger Coffee. Dave Asprey has that. So I was drinking that decaf with 3 tablespoons of butter in it in the morning. I was having egg yolks and I have flash frozen burger patties. So that's what is my favorite thing. It's very low maintenance. If I get ribeyes from a farm, it depends on what they did to the animal, if I feel well or not. So I just stay away from all of that. And I find that it's simple. Now, not everybody wants to do that. And I wanted to say that not everybody is willing to gain weight on carnivore.
Oh, yeah,
They think it's
very
a
true.
diet and they should be able to lose weight and drop weight really quickly. But I think they're focusing on the wrong thing. When I talk to women, I say weight loss is a side effect of you taking care of yourself and you showing up for yourself. So when you do carnivore, it's a healing, it's like food is medicine. Meat is medicine. So you're actually giving your body what it needs to heal itself. But they're still afraid of the fat. They're still afraid of, the calories and the ribeyes. And I'm like, well, it's either you choose foods that are going to heal you or you're going to stay stuck in that loop and that cycle that's not going to let you out. You got to make a
Right.
change.
I love that. And there's also different seasons that we get to experience when you eat correctly. So, for example, for someone who's histamine intolerant when they first start carnivore, yeah, maybe their first year has to be super strict, lion diet only, non aged only. But once that's healed, they get to walk into their second season, which is they can start enjoying aged foods, maybe some raw dairy, maybe some eggs. And so being open to understanding that there are seasons to everybody's healing journeys is exciting. That means you can enjoy variety down the line. You just have to be strict for now.
Yeah, and I tell them you get to do that instead of you have to. I think it's
Yes.
really a mindset shift that you need to embrace the fact that this is where you are right now and you've been stuck for however long. So if you're willing to take that chance and try it, then you can see a difference, but you have to be educated too. That's why I have a Facebook group and I love to go on there and do lives and teach them basics and teach them right now they want to learn how to like measure out their protein and their fat macros, and I don't like that word, but I'm gonna teach that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna teach on that on Sunday, but so I wanted to ask you, like, if you're talking you always look like you're making carnivore easy and, really flexible, so what are your
Thank
top
you.
3 beginner meals that help people start and stay consistent?
Yes. Okay. So ground beef, obviously, we've all heard of that, but I'll help you elevate it with no time added at all. So, well, you do have to wait, but cold ground beef is amazing. Like, do not knock it until you try it. Cook your ground beef, a bunch of it, put it in your fridge, let the fat that seeps out solidify into a white fat frosting. And it literally
Mm,
becomes like a ground beef cookie with fat frosting. It is so good. Yes, eat it cold. Yes, eat it room temp if you don't want it cold, but don't reheat it. And I find that it tastes even better and it definitely digests better for me. So, a lot of new carnivores, they'll have heartburn, diarrhea, loose stools because their body just doesn't know how to handle all that fat. When you eat the fat cold, solid, chilled, solidified, it's definitely just easier to digest. That's one meal. Second meal, scrambled eggs in butter. But the way that I like to do it is I crack the eggs in whole in my pan and I let it cook for a bit. So I basically scramble the whites only first and I leave the yolks whole and raw. And only at the very end do I start scrambling the egg yolk so it maintains its raw yolk goodness and the nutrients are still alive. Whereas I already cooked the egg whites and it's so extra creamy, it's delicious. So also very easy to digest. And then try my egg pudding. Like people love the egg pudding. You just steam eggs with any liquid of your choice. My mom made this for me ever since I was a baby. It is such a popular Chinese dish. You can either put milk, cream, bone broth, chicken broth, and you steam it. It's such a just delicious, luxurious dish. It tastes like flan, has the consistency of custard or flan pudding, and you can make it savory or sweet. Yeah.
gosh, that sounds amazing. Okay, so you talked about your skin and your autoimmune type issues that you were having that improved. What changed for you, and what patterns do you notice in your audience or in your group when they start to do carnivore and they start experiencing small wins?
Yeah. I think the little habits that the members just repeat over and over and over give them so many amazing benefits. Like it is X beneficial when you just repeat the same easy, simple habits. The difficult part is repeating it and being consistent with repeating it and not having those Saturday, Sunday cheat days. But if you just keep it simple and you just promise yourself, week one, I am not going to have anything with sugar or seed oils every single day. I'm not going to have it. Week two, I'm not going to have any seed oils, sugar, or vegetables. So, like, you just take it at the pace. Week three, no fruits. Week four, let's try carnivore. But you just have to be consistent. And the wins do really add up. At the beginning, I would say the first mini little small win is, whoa, I'm sleeping through the night. Like, that's huge for a lot of people with insomnia, by the way. But people immediately notice these little things like, wow, my sleep quality is incredible. That's weird. Oh, wow, my skin is glowing a little bit more. Or, oh, wow, like I'm not getting sugar cravings. These little wins are actually life changing, and living a life without any of those issues is truly a life that everybody should be living. You just have to be consistent and finding the right approach for you, right? If you are healing one thing, you might need to do a different approach of carnivore. You might need to do different ratio of fat to protein, but just being open to troubleshooting is also very helpful.
Yeah, so I was recently on Kelly Hogan's podcast. It went out on
Yeah,
Saturday. And I talked
nice.
about my history with binge eating, and it was like a 33-year struggle. And then I talked about how I became histamine intolerant to every single thing I ate, and it went on for 7 months. And how a friend of mine reached out to me and shared Michaela Peterson's story and told me to go watch it on Joe Rogan. And it started my journey of carnivore. And it's coming up on 3 years now, and it's really exciting. But I want to know if you have a take on like binge eating. And I think it's related to the fact that they've eaten low fat and they've eaten the standard American diet and lots of vegetables. Maybe the lack of fat was causing this cycle and causing the
Yes.
issues in their body. I'd love your take
That's
on
what
that.
I personally experienced, yes, and so I see it like this. A lot of people, when they first go carnivore, they keep craving for peanut butter for some reason. Why are they craving for peanut butter and nut butters and the butters this and that? It's because the fat content. So if you just replace your cravings, whether it's peanut butter or sweets or chocolates with butter, like animal fat butter, you will notice that your sugar cravings slowly disappear. And I really mean it literally every time you have a sugar craving. I dare you to just eat a bite of butter every single time. I would be surprised if you still have sugar cravings after doing it for 7 days straight. It works. It really does.
So, what is your take on under eating on the carnivore diet? Like women in midlife, they actually think eating less is going to win them a prize or something. And it's like,
Yeah.
they think 1,200 calories is the right amount of calories for it doesn't matter what size you are, how tall you are, doesn't matter if you're active or not active. 1,200 calories is like the magic bullet. And I think that when they're under eating, I know there's a fasting part to this, and I don't really do that, but I'm curious about your take on how they undereat and they think they're going to lose weight, but all these other bad things happen.
Exactly. When you undereat, and again, every woman's body is going to be a different shape, a different height, a different size, and a different like activity level that we're all living. So the number of calories doesn't matter to me anymore because I have firsthand witnessed myself living off a life of 1,400 calories a day. I'm 5'10", so I think I need more than 1,200. But when I restricted at 1,400 on a vegan diet as well, how is it that I'm puffier and bigger than when I am eating literally 2 to 3,000 calories of animal foods only now? So that to me is all I need to experience to just not be obsessed with calories anymore. It's not just about the calories. And so I'm learning more and more, working so closely with Dr. Bright now, that it has everything to do with how optimally your hormones are functioning. How is like the health of your thyroid and your adrenals? Is your body feeling so burnt out from all of the stress that you have put on it? And this includes calorie counting. This includes over exercising. This includes over stressing about every little thing in your life and just being dramatic all the time. It's not like we can control how we feel and react, but do you know what helps? A high fat carnivore diet. So every time you eat butter, every time you eat a fatty steak, you can literally manipulate your cortisol levels to lower. That is such a hack right there. So just being educated on what it takes to have a happy thyroid and happy hormones is really important for us females. We may not have grown up with the right education and the right guidance, but our health is in our own hands. And we have to take our health into our own hands and just stop expecting that a doctor or a coach or somebody else will tell us exactly how to heal, you know?
Exactly. Protein versus fat. What's the priority for most women and why? And what should a woman do on a day that she cannot eat enough protein? And we sort of touched on this earlier, but I'd like you just, if you want to go off the deep dive on the high fat carnivore, go ahead.
Sure. With high fat carnivore, Dr. Bright likes to teach like 80/20 as her ideal ratio. I think a lot of people have an easier time when understanding it in like a 2 to 1, 1 to 1, or 1.5 to 1 type of setup. So 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio means if I'm eating 100 grams of protein per day, then I will be eating 200 grams of fat. That equals a 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio. I think the minimum amount of protein a female should be aiming for is, think about your ideal weight. Let's say your ideal weight is 120 pounds. Then you should be eating 120 grams of protein. Just to keep it simple like that. Of course, you have a lot of room to fluctuate, you can troubleshoot and all, but minimum you should try to aim for 120 grams of protein if you can. And if you're trying to live a life of 2 to 1 or you want to try it out, then that means you have to be eating 240 grams of protein. Look, this could really drive a lot of carnivores crazy. I get it. A lot of people hate tracking. They never want to think about numbers again and tracking apps, all of that, measuring. I'm actually that type of carnivore. I enjoy the food freedom and the simplicity aspect of this diet, and so I intend to keep living that way. But data is amazing. Like it teaches you how you should move forward, right? Based on how you're feeling. And so if you want to track for just a few days where you end up, fat to protein, I think it's a fantastic idea. That's what I did. I did 3 days of tracking and I saw that I do fall in to the 2 to 1 fat to protein because I tracked. Yeah.
Okay, so for women who need to lose weight and they have extra body weight, what should they do as far as the fat intake? I know that Dr. Bright does teach that you should have no less than 30 grams higher on your fat than your protein, than not to go below that because that's a healing level. So if they have a lot of weight to lose, should they be eating high fat carnivore or should they eat moderate? Because people say that you shouldn't have if you have fat on your body. So I'm really curious about that.
So it's my answer can never be just simple, do this. It's never black and white. And I want to focus the attention on something that I feel like is the most important thing. How are you feeling? How is your health? Because if you are feeling like crap, you're not sleeping through the night, your hair is already falling out, your skin is not glowing and clear, or your period is irregular. If you're going through menopause, you are having hot flashes all the time. Why are you so obsessed with losing weight right now? You should be obsessed with feeling amazing. And so I hear this all the time. I love that question, Christina, is like, if I have a lot of fat to lose, I have so much extra weight on my body. No way can I possibly lose weight with high fat carnivore. Well, I've seen many cases prove the opposite. And I believe they start shedding weight because they are finally healing. They are finally healing their thyroid. They are finally lowering that cortisol. They are finally sleeping through the night, which also, by the way, really helps regulate your appetite so you stop overeating. They stop having sugar cravings. I think it's the compilation of all of these little shifts that happen in the body when you are consistent with one approach that works. Something else that I see a lot is somebody tries something like a high fat carnivore diet or PSMF. There are many really cool modalities out there, but I see too many times someone will try one modality, expect results within 14 days. Some people expect results in 7 days. They don't see the results and they shift to another modality very quickly. And then they just start saying, well, I tried that, but it didn't work for me. I think it's very important to try one way, one approach, one modality for at least 90 days, And so that's why I have the 90-day challenge. I just feel like 90 days is enough time to try anything.
And it's the perfect amount of time for you to create new habits and shift your mindset and feel the difference on that way of eating. I hate to call it a diet because I feel like it's a way of eating and it really does change the way you feel in your body. But if women were willing to gain a little weight in order to heal, I think that they would see a difference and they would really see some really huge transformation in their life because when they're focused on the scale, they're focused on all the tracking measurements, then they're making themselves crazy by tracking all that stuff and really honing in. And I actually gave my husband my scales. I had a human body pod and I had a regular scale and a tape measure and all kinds of things that I was tracking. And I said, could you take these with you? And he said, I won't take them with me, but I'll put them somewhere in the house that you can't find them. I said, fine, because I will not go looking. I just need the convenience of it being in my bathroom. So it's so funny that I was like laughing and kind of giddy when I got up in the mornings because I turned off my alarms and I decided I'm going to let my body wake up, which it wakes up a little earlier. It's kind of funny. And just give my body the space to do what it needs to do to get back to where it was before I decided that I was going to change it and control it and try to manage it. And so I had a call yesterday with a lady getting market research for my new app I'm building. And she said, what if it's not control? What if it's discipline? I said, I love that word. That's a
Mm.
nice word. So giving up my scale, I gave it up for to 28 days, I guess, to see what my body does in that time so I can give it space and not be forcing things. So it's very interesting and I feel so much happier. It's very
I love
interesting.
that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you something. I hope this is okay. Could you talk about your dad? So my dad has cancer and we put him on carnivore, but he's actually not doing carnivore anymore and was told that was, not a good idea. And so I loved the story of how we saw you leave. We knew you disappeared and we were like, where is she? And so when you came back, I was so moved by the way that you went and you really ministered to and took care of your dad. And you also helped him to change some things. So I'd love for you, if you're open, to talk about that.
Absolutely. I love my father, my hero. And so if he's sick and he needs me, I will be the first to drop everything and go take care of him. And so that to me was a no brainer. Like to me at that time, and even now, like social media is not important to me. Okay. Of course, it's an important channel for me to share what I'm learning, but everyone on social media, I don't consider them my family members, right? So if
Right.
anyone in my real life needs me, I'll be the first to go and take care of them. And so when I went to go see him and take care of him, I noticed that he wasn't eating very healthy. And so that was the first thing that I wanted to help with was just clean up his diet, make sure that he was resting as much as he needed to, but of course repairing as much as he could through the foods that he was eating. And so this is one of the most heartbreaking and at the same time like emotional things whenever I hear about people who are sick or dying in hospitals and they start talking about what they are fed in the hospitals. It is the worst foods that they could possibly eat to recover. Sugar, jello, cake. How is that even possible? So for me to control what he was eating was very important. And he had pancreatic cancer. So that's like a very deadly cancer. And he's 8 years cancer free. It's incredible. It's a miracle. Yeah. And by the way, currently he's eating more of an animal-based diet. He cannot be eating a strict carnivore diet strictly because he cannot be losing weight rapidly. He needs to
Mm.
maintain a healthy weight as healthy of a weight as possible. And with his recovery, he lost a ton of weight. And so if you look at the videos that I have with him, he's very thin. So he does eat fruits, like low carb fruits, raw honey, and he eats a lot of this beef. What is that food called? It's not honey, but it's another derivative of bees. Royal jelly, yes, royal jelly. And he's like obsessed with that. And so much meat, so many eggs. It's crazy. He can eat more eggs than me. He cooks like 30 eggs a day and he just eats it throughout the day, but very, very meat based.
So I need to know the secret. So how did you talk to him about this and make this sound like a good idea and the only option? Because I did that. It worked for a little while and then, yeah, it didn't work anymore.
Okay. I think I was lucky because my dad is a rebel at heart, just like me. He does not like just following what somebody tells him to. He is constantly learning, researching, verifying, digging deeper. And so he's naturally like that. And so when I brought up this low carb keto phenomenon that's happening in the States, he looked into it on all of his Chinese sources, on all of the websites that he likes to read and research. And he found incredible research that is backed by Chinese doctors and foundations or whatever you want to call it. So he was a complete believer after he looked into it himself. And in fact, his own doctor approved and supported this low carb approach very much. I think maybe the doctors in China are doing better than the doctors here because more and more doctors are supporting a low carb approach. And so that's very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So carnivore can be controversial to say the least, especially the high fat approach. So, what do you think triggers such a strong reaction? And what do you think critics misunderstand the most?
Yeah, so maybe it's just the misinformation that we were taught ever since we were young. Because I remember my mom only bought, I can't believe it's not butter, margarine, right? So that's what I grew up eating. And she would only cook in seed oils. She never cooked in animal fats. So I think it's just the way that we've been living our life, the way that we've been taught, and the way that we've been brought up by our parents who also didn't really know better. You could also argue doctors don't know better. They're just following the system and what they were taught. So I think slowly the truth is coming out, and very influential people are also supporting the truth, like with the new food pyramid. Wow, right? That's cool. And then so I think it requires a lot of voices talking about it over and over and being brave talking about it despite all of the hate and the backlash that we get. And I include content creators very much. I think we are very influential, especially when we sit in a place where we're talking about our own experience. I think it's so powerful hearing somebody else sharing their own unique personal experience. It's very, it's moving, it's relatable, it's real, it's human. And I encourage anyone watching to start their own pages and also get their stories out. It's very effective. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So, a lot of people worry about their labs and cholesterol. How do you think about biomarkers? And what do you want listeners to discuss with their clinician, their doctor, their medical professional before making any changes?
Biomarkers, do you mean like how's my energy? How's the cycle this month?
No, they don't do
No.
that. So they're
Okay.
thinking like all the lab markers, the cholesterol and the A1C and the glucose levels.
Yeah. Well, I don't care about those things. I personally, just like how I let go of my scale and tracking and calorie counting, I've also let go of being obsessed with the numbers that show up on my labs. So I've shifted my focus to how am I feeling? Okay. How are my skin issues doing? As long as those two things are really good, then I don't care about the labs. But of course, because I'm curious enough and also the community really wants it, I've tested my labs a couple times and I've had someone like Dr. Ovadia or Dr. Hampton take a look at those numbers, make a video with me about it, and reassure everyone that my numbers are fine. I think test your labs if you want after 90 days on a carnivore diet because the numbers that show up on those labs before the 90 days are just not going to be accurate. It's going to give you a heart attack. It's not worth it.
What are the most common mistakes that you see beginners make on carnivore, and what simple adjustments and fixes will help them fix the problems fast?
Mhm. Top one, under eating. Start off by eating 3 meals a day. Just keep it simple. Okay. Do not be doing OMADs just because you feel like you're a pro faster. When you go carnivores, it's just so much more difficult to eat enough. Trust me. I've seen it thousands upon thousands of times now. So start with 3 meals a day. And then once you really feel like your energy is up, you are feeling fantastic, then you can dwindle down to 2 meals a day and do whatever fasting you want. Really try your best to eat enough fat. I find a lot of people, they go into carnivore, not only are they under eating, but they have this very real fear of fat still. Totally get it. Again, lots of misinformation. We were brought up wrong. But if you can just add 1 tablespoon of animal fat to every meal that you are eating, you can ensure you're not under eating on the fat. Yeah, so I like to keep it simple. These rules are easy to remember. They're not rules, they're just like light guidelines, right? And then maybe the third thing, please lean into variety. There is zero benefit to starting carnivore for the first time and wanting to rush the results and jumping into lion diet day one. You're going to suffer. You're going to have sugar cravings. You're going to feel tired and sick of meat. Enjoy the variety, right? Cut down the
That's
variety
a
later.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have a friend, she's probably gonna watch this, but I have a friend who ate only ribeyes, and then she had the meat aversion, and she was like, "I can't do another bite." And I'm like, "Do some burger patties, do something else." But she really didn't want to do that. I think it's a problem. Now, I actually have a client that I was working with recently that I said, "Hey, instead of trying to eat like all this really good, yummy stuff first thing in the morning and then being full all day, why don't you just eat 3 meals and make them smaller so that you can take in more food?" And she is finding that that's more helpful than just, getting a steak and some eggs in the morning and then being like, "Oh, I'm not hungry till like 6 o'clock." And I'm like, "Well, that's
Yeah.
because you need to eat a little less when you start out." Okay. So, what is one thing you wish you knew when you started carnivore? And what would you tell a woman who's just getting started?
Sure. What I wish I knew was to repeat myself, but it really is so important to me. I wish I knew to stop, to not eat rendered fats, to not eat the liquid fat, to not be pouring all that liquid fat over my meals and eating it because it just sent me straight to the toilet. I was not digesting any of that liquid fat. And so I wish I knew right at the start to always swap out melted rendered fats for cold, solid, maybe raw fats. Those were just always easier for me to digest, and that is a tip that I keep repeating, and it really helps a lot of.
So, what I was going to say about that is what I do. At first, you think when you're making your burgers, like, because I eat a lot of burger patties. So, the fat that drips out of that, people think they're supposed to throw it away. And I'm like, no, no, no. We put that in a dish, we salt it,
Yes.
and we freeze it. And then we eat that crunchy fat. It's delicious. So, that's the way that you consume it because it's the nutrition from the food. You can't throw it out. It's part of your calories and your fat and your protein for the day. So you have to eat that too. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's part of it. So what would you tell a woman who's just getting started in carnivore? Like what besides that? So I think I asked you two
Yeah.
questions at once, but like the fat is important, but what else? Electrolytes?
Okay, yeah, electrolytes are important, but it's case by case. Like I've seen carnivores do fine with no electrolytes when they first started. It also matters like what's your activity level? Are you sweating a lot or are you more sedentary? Heads up, I started carnivore, no salt carnivore. Okay, so that says a lot. Like there are many approaches. You just need to find what works for you. And only recently, 7 years in, have I really started dabbling with consistently adding in salt. Okay. I did no salt carnivore because 7 years ago, the zeroing in on health is the OG group of carnivores. They were saying carnivore should be absolutely zero salt because salt is unnatural. You could get everything you need, electrolytes and minerals, all of it from meat and seafood if you just ate animal foods. And so I tried it and it really worked well for me. But then at the same time, I eat my beef very rare. So I think it also matters how well done are you cooking it? Are you eating it raw? Are you eating raw seafood? That matters. And then another tip for women is I find that women really need connection. If it's a connection from working with a coach, it really matters to us women, or a connection from an accountability buddy, or a group, or a community. Just having that tribe to belong to, or someone to talk to and feel support from is so, so important for women and specifically women.
So you talked about eating your meat rare. So I know that some people have eaten raw meat for a year to heal.
Yeah.
I have not gotten there. I just not even
It's a good
interested.
experience.
So did you start there or did you start with cooked meat and then you've gotten yourself to rare?
I started with very cooked through ground beef. That was my first meat of choice. But then very quickly, I just wanted to eat very rare steaks and like bloody rare. So my taste bud just adapted really fast, yes. But I've even tried 100% raw carnivore a couple days throughout my journey just because I was curious. And I noticed when you are 100% raw carnivore, so you're literally buying a piece of meat, you're eating it just like that. You do not cook it. There is a whole movement and group of people online who just love raw carnivore and it works for them. What I noticed is when you eat raw carnivore, you don't need to eat nearly as much meat to feel satisfied and to feel full. That could be a hack, but at the same time, I didn't feel joy from any of those raw carnivore meals. I just felt like it wasn't enjoyable for me to eat a cold piece of meat. You could also get that meat to come to room temperature, but I didn't love it. I think I could do raw carnivore if I had a lot of raw seafood. So sashimi, raw oysters. I feel like that would be easier for me, but raw beef was pretty difficult. I think Emily Penton was raw carnivore for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did read that. And I know Rebecca Heischman was too. So she
Oh,
did that
that's
for a while. Yeah,
nice.
to easily digest it. So, okay. Where can people find you? Tell us about your work and how you really help people in the carnivore space.
Thank you, Christina, for having me. So I'm on all platforms at Steak and Butter Gal, typed out, and I love posting my recipes. I love posting my updates and what I'm learning, interviews, testimonials. I think the carnivore community is such a special group of people. Everyone is so passionate. They are also very protective of this lifestyle, and they're always supporting each other in the comment section. So I really appreciate all the support that I feel from my community. And then if you are looking for extra support or extra help, you should work with Christina here. I highly recommend working with long term experienced carnivores because they know a lot. SBG is also always open. It's just a great support group as well.
Thank you so much for being here today. I was so happy that I got to meet you in Florida. And I know that you're just going to change the world. You really
Oh,
are
you're so
doing that.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome.